All right, let's talk about something that's, well, a little chaotic: IT project management. We're going to demystify this whole world today. How do you take a massive, complicated tech project and actually turn that chaos into real, tangible progress? We're going to break down how the pros really get it done.
So let's just get right to it. Have you ever wondered why so many huge, ambitious tech projects just fail? I mean, they have all this promise, tons of money behind them, and then they either blow past their budget, miss their deadline by a mile, or just kind of fizzle out. What is going on there?
And look, this isn't just some minor inconvenience. We're talking about a multi-billion with a B dollar question. And it's not just a tech industry problem either. Think about it. Software, network upgrades, you name it. The success or failure of these projects sends shockwaves through pretty much every industry you can think of.
Okay, so if we're going to figure out how to get it right, we first have to understand what goes wrong. So let's pull back the curtain and look at the usual suspects, the things that send these big projects completely off the rails.
It almost always comes down to a few classic mistakes. You've got unclear goals. I mean, if your team doesn't even know what the finish line looks like, how are they ever going to get there? Then you've got the people problems. Poor communication can absolutely tank a project. And of course, you've got flawed planning or just not having the right people or tools for the job. But there's one that's especially famous, or should I say infamous, the dreaded scope creep.
So what is scope creep? Okay, imagine this. You hire someone to paint your living room. Simple enough, right? But then you say, hey, while you're here, could you also do the hallway? Oh, and you know what? The kitchen could use a fresh coat too. Before you know it, they're painting the entire house. That is scope creep. It's when all those little while you're at it requests pile up until the project is way bigger, way more expensive, and way behind schedule.
Okay, so you see the problem, right? It's like walking through a minefield. So the big question is, how do the successful managers do it? How do they navigate all this chaos and not only survive, but actually deliver amazing results? Well, it turns out there's a modern playbook for this, and it's built on three super important pillars: the right plans, the right people, and the right platforms. Let's dig into what each of those really means. All right, first up, the plan. And I'm not just talking about a checklist or a to-do list. Think of it more like choosing the right recipe for success. You need the right framework, the right methodology for the job you're trying to do. And this really comes down to a huge choice in how you approach the work. On one hand, you've got the old school waterfall method. It's very linear, like following a fixed blueprint. You do step one, then step two, then step three. And it's great if you know exactly what you're building and nothing is going to change. But let's be real, in tech, things always change. And that's where Agile comes in. It's all about working in these short, iterative cycles called sprints. You're constantly delivering small, working pieces of the project, which means you can adapt and change course on the fly. It's built for evolution. But here's the thing. Just picking a methodology isn't enough. You know that famous saying, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth? Well, a great plan doesn't just map out the sunny days. It anticipates the storms. It's all about managing risk. And this isn't about guesswork or just hoping for the best. It's a real discipline. It follows this really clear 5-step process. First, you figure out your strategy for how you're even going to deal with risks. Then, you identify them. And you do this by talking to everyone on the team. After that, you analyze each one. What's the chance it'll happen, and how bad would it be if it did? Step 4 is deciding what to do about it. Are you going to try to avoid it, reduce the impact, or just accept it? And finally, and this is key, you're always monitoring. It's a constant cycle, not something you just do once at the beginning. Okay, so all that planning is crucial, but it leads us right into our second pillar, which, you could argue, is the most important one of all: the people. Because honestly, technology is just a tool. The people are the engine. They're the ones who make it all happen. And this quote just nails it. The most well-designed system implementation, if not centered on people, is doomed to fall short of its objectives. I mean, think about that. You could have the most genius technical plan ever created, but if you ignore the people, the ones building it, the ones using it, it's just not going to work. It's doomed. So how do you actually manage this human side of things? Well, it all starts with what we call stakeholder management. This means you got to figure out everyone who has a stake in this thing, from your team to your clients to the CEO. Then you build a rock-solid communication plan, set crystal clear expectations from the get-go, and, most importantly, you build real relationships.
This is about real engagement, not just firing off an email update once a week.
And this is exactly why the idea of what makes a good project manager is changing so fast. It's not just about being the tech wizard anymore. The most valuable managers today have what we're now calling power skills. This is stuff like real collaborative leadership, being a great communicator, and being able to think strategically. These are the skills that actually get a team pulling in the same direction. And this really says it all. Ultimately, behind every single line of code, every system diagram, every deadline, it's all about the people. How well they work together, how motivated they are, that's what truly decides if a project sinks or swims. Okay, which brings us perfectly to our third and final pillar, the platforms. These are the tools of the trade, the software that brings the plans and the people together and makes the magic happen. Think about it. The days of trying to manage a huge project with a bunch of different spreadsheets, a million email threads, and sticky notes all over your monitor, those days are over. Thank goodness. Modern software is like the central hub for the entire project. All the planning, all the communication, all the tracking, it's all in one place where everyone can see it. And wow, there are a ton of options out there, and they all have their own flavor. You've got tools like Monday.com that are amazing for automating workflows. Then there's something like Rike, which is really designed for huge enterprise-level projects. And others, like ClickUp, try to be the one tool that replaces everything else. The key thing here isn't to find the best tool, period. It's about finding the best tool for your team and how you work. And this whole space is moving at lightning speed. The next big thing? It's already here, and it's AI. We're seeing artificial intelligence getting baked right into these platforms. It's starting to automate all the boring routine stuff, predict risks before they even happen, and give teams data-driven insights to help them just work smarter. All right, so let's zoom out and tie this all together. What does all this mean for the future of how we build things? Here it is, the big takeaway. Successful IT project management isn't about finding one magic bullet. It's about the combination, the integration of these three things. You need the right plans, managed by the right people, who are empowered by the right platforms. When you get those three things working together in harmony, that's when you turn chaos into progress. And that leaves us with a really interesting question to chew on. As AI gets better and better at all the mechanical parts of this, the planning, the scheduling, the risk analysis, what happens to the human project manager? I mean, does the job become less about managing a task list and way more about leading people? It's something to think about, for sure. Thanks so much for joining me.